everyone. This is the third in the segment of our forefathers fulfilled the entire Torah. Our sages are adamant that this is true, and yet we have evidence that they didn't. Avraham Avinu served meat and milk to those angels. Yaakov married two sisters and whatnot. Comes along Rashi and says, not about our forefathers, but in general, there's a big difference between kiyum mitzvot in Israel versus doing mitzvot outside of Israel. Says Rashi in Sefer Devarim, Af lachar shetegalu hayu mitzuyanim b'mitzvot. Even after you leave the land and you're exiled, do the mitzvot. Hanichu tefillin, asu mezuzas, kedei shelo yeh lechem chadashim keshetachzeru. In other words, outside of Israel, put on tefillin, make sure you have a mezuzah on your door, so when you come to Israel and you're actually obligated in them, they won't be new. It won't be something you have to go ahead and practice. Using the famous pasuk in Yirmiyah, Hatzivi lach tziyunim, make yourself different. The Ramban Nachmanides shares this point of view of Rashi, because in Sefer Vayikra, he indeed says that God, unfortunately, will exile us from the land, as we say in Kriyat Shema. But when that happens, hayu mitzuyanim b'mitzvot keshetachzeru lo yu alechem chadashim. Do the mitzvot outside of Israel, so when you come back, they won't be new. Quoting the Rashi verbatim, and ultimately saying that this is why you do mitzvot outside of Israel. There is alleged proof that certain Rabbanim, when they got off the plane, even though they put tefillin on the plane, when they got to Ben Gurion Airport, they put tefillin on again, saying this Rashi is correct. Yes, we do mitzvot out of Israel. Yes, we put on tefillin, even with a bracha. But the highest level of putting on tefillin is in the land of Israel. So when they got off the plane without a bracha, they put on tefillin again. And indeed, the Ramban is consistent and says it in the book of Bereshit. Shalamad Avraham Avinu HaTorah Kula Beruach HaKodesh V'asak ba v'tamei mitzvotea v'sodotea. Avraham Avinu learned the entire Torah, its reasons, its secrets, the whole gamut. V'shamar ota kula, and fulfilled the entire Torah. K'misha ino mitzveh ve'oseh, as someone that is volunteering to do mitzvot, like a woman volunteering to shake lulav or to sit in a sukkah. V'shmirato ota haya ba'aretz bilvad, but keeping those mitzvot were only in Israel. Outside of Israel, not. Therefore, Yaakov b'chutz la'aretz nasa ha'achayot. Therefore, Yaakov married two sisters, but outside of Israel, in Charan. So this is a wonderful answer regarding Yaakov. As a matter of fact, some even say, and I don't like it, but they say it, why did Rachel have to die at childbirth? It was as they were coming into Israel. The minute they come into Israel, Yaakov would be, quote unquote, obligated not to be married to two sisters, so God made it that she died when she came into Israel. In a word, in Israel, where the fulfillment of mitzvot get to the highest possible level, they fulfilled the entire Torah. When they were outside of Israel, and this is before the Torah was given, you could be a little more lenient, and they were. Yaakov Avinu married two sisters. There's only one little problem with this point of view. And my daughter pointed this out to me when I mentioned it to her. My daughter Ariela told me, Abba, Avraham escorted those wonderful guests into his home. That was in Israel. And he served them meat and milk in Israel. Vayira elav Hashem be'elonei Mamre. He was in Elonei Mamre. The last time I looked, it's on the map of Israel. Point of view is true. How did Avraham serve meat and milk? In Israel. And indeed, the Gra doesn't accept this at all. The Gra says, Vekashe, because we have an ironclad rule in Maseches Kiddushin. Kol mitzvah she'itluya ba'aretz, ina noheged ela ba'aretz. We have a whole bunch of mitzvot called dependent on the land. Dependent on the land mitzvot are only applicable in Israel. Tithing from your fruits and vegetables, trumos and masros, shmita, and onwards. V'sheinat tluya ba'aretz, but if it's not dependent on the land, tefillin, mezuzah, eating matzah, staying away from chametz and whatnot, and yes, marrying two sisters, not eating meat and milk, no heged ben ba'aretz or ben b'chutz la'aretz. And it's a mitzvah that is applicable outside of Israel as much as inside of Israel. From this perspective, Umi Rashi Zal Mashma, according to this Rashi that I just quoted, Mitzvot Tefillin u'mezuzah ino noheget b'chutz la'aretz רק מפני שלא יהיו חדשים כשתחזרו לארץ ישראל בלאו הכי יהיו פטורים מזו. The only reason you do it outside of Israel is that when you get to Israel, it won't be practice, it will be perfect. But there's no real importance to doing mitzvot outside of Israel. But this goes against the Mishnah. And therefore, the Gra is so sure of his point of view, it must be a mistake. No more, no less, it must be a mistake. Every Chumash was printed for years with this Rashi in it. He says it must be a mistake. Hey, Tuf, Ayin, Mem. It said, hey, Tuf, Ayin, Mem, vechashvu, and they thought in error, ki zehu perusho, hanichu tefillin asum mezuzot. Put on tefillin and put mezuzahs on your door. But actually they were wrong. Uvemet rashi tefodu hafrishru trumos umasros. Take tithing. Tithing indeed is something you don't have to do in Chutz La'aretz. Well, he wasn't the first to say that. His great-great-great-grandson, Rav Soloveitchik, was asked about this Rashi. And he says, they don't pay me to explain every Rashi in Chumash. Namely, he also didn't understand this Rashi. But you should know it's an answer. Namely, that Yaakov can marry two sisters while he was outside of Israel. The minute he got to Israel, it wouldn't have been possible. Therefore, Rachel had to die, or if you don't like that, as I don't, God made it such that it didn't become applicable. But this seems very strange. We keep mitzvot outside of Israel as we do in Israel. So to say and deposit, it was outside of Israel, it was okay, that would be true with the mitzvot dependent on the land, like Trumot, Masrot, and Shemitah. Not mezuzah, not tefillin, and not marrying two sisters and meat and milk.